This is Dennis Peacock with another edition of the Transforum. We're dealing today with global warming and African greed. And this actually is one of the six great issues of our day, the sixth one, and that is what's the proper balance between international unity and national sovereignty. And that's all over the whole issue of global warming, environmentalism, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the principle that we're dealing with today is this, quite simply: legitimate capital creation through profit is the surest way to full employment and prosperity. Now, what does that have to do with climate change? Everything. Well, unless you've been living in a cave, I trust you're aware that there was a big deal at Copenhagen, and I don't mean the chewing tobacco factory. I mean Copenhagen, Norway. And as everybody knows, the controversy around whether or not there really is global warming or global cooling or what is the situation, the conference reigned in confusion. It also reigned in division. And the division basically is around the economic question: at what speed can production go forth in terms of reducing climate polluting chemicals and reactions without cutting off economic viability? In other words, how fast, with cap and trade and carbon emissions and all the rest of it, can you invest that amount of expense without reducing productivity and employment to a factor that it's no longer profitable to produce those services or goods? Now, the Green Revolutionary Guard was there in force. It's always interesting to see in a country that is totally committed to green, the Greens creating havoc at the conference. But that's actually what happened. No surprise there. The thing that was so disappointing to me was the posture that many of the African leaders took, and really they were acting like thieves who only wanted more ways to steal from the people and steal from the West. Their demand was that somehow Africa was unduly being economically challenged by global warming, and the West needed to make reparation payments. They walked out of the hearings at some points, and the whole thing was a complete mess. Now, those of us that love Africa and want to see Africa prosper, that's where this whole issue of a legitimate capital creation through profit is the real deal. As long as Africa is using global warming or any other manipulative device that it can use against the West to try and finance its livelihood, it's going to continue to be a global basket case. You know, the only thing that didn't come up at that conference was the whole issue of the earth being in revolt from sin. And those of you that are Christians, let me just put this out. I haven't heard it. You know, the Bible talks a lot about the earth being polluted by the shedding of innocent blood and a whole lot of other moral issues. Is it possible that what's going on here is a creator whose creation is in revolt because the people are polluting it? I'm not going to do your homework for you, but why don't you look up the verses in the Bible where it talks about polluted land? Where's all this going? Click below. It's the strategic vision page. This is the Transforum, folks. Let's engage.